Okay, guys, hello, can you hear me? Let's start with the session. Yeah, can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we'll start in a minute. Okay, let's start. Hello, all, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so people, today we are going to start with the concept which we actually have given a basic introduction about. Okay, so I'm talking about collection framework. So let's say how this goes. Let's say how we are going to interpret, or how we are going to understand how to learn this concept, or how to get um, very much known to this particular topic, because this topic that we are going to start today is really very important, because you implement that into your system. Okay, so they ask you questions on this, but they don't dig you that in they're not going to ask you a lot of details onto it, but it is our duty that we go through all the concepts, because we don't know from which concept they are going to ask us, so we have to be in that perspective. Okay, so starting with the deal. Okay, just a minute. So I will be sharing the screen, wherein I'm just going to show you my browser and what you need to research about it. Okay, which classes, which things are important for you. Okay, I'm not going to give you any notes. Notes are there, things are there available on the internet, so we can go in this way. Okay, let's see here. So first of all, when you start with collections, you need to understand what this collection is all about. So we know, we have seen this already. Collection is collection of classes, and it's an implement a collection of interfaces and its implementation. So here we basically talk about implementing data structures. So previously, when Java was introduced, it was not having this collection API into it. Okay, it was having all the basic classes or ad hoc classes that we call, like dictionary, then there was stack, then there was vector. Okay, so these were the few classes which we used now, which are called as legacy classes in our collection framework. Okay, so we know about this, right? Vector and all those things, we have that in our hierarchy, but those are legacy classes. So after Java 1.2, collection framework came into action. Okay, it was actually introduced in 1.2. Okay, so so if you have to know how to use, or how to start working, or how to separate the stuff and start working on this particular thing on collection framework. So first of all, you're going to check in for all the collection. First of all, you have to search for collection hierarchy. What is the hierarchy all about? The second thing that you will search for is your all classes. Okay, let's say you should start with interfaces, interfaces of collection framework. Okay, now this will help you to understand why are these interfaces used and which classes are implementing it and what are the basic methods present in each one of them. So you'll be getting a lot of things. I would recommend you to refer to docs, Oracle docs. Okay, for this reason, it is going to have everything. Okay, so this is about collection frameworks, everything that you need to know. So you can see for the advantages, there are collection frameworks, what it consists of, all the collection interfaces, legacy implementation, and everything. You get to see everything. Okay, everything that you have learned in OOP is actually implemented in this particular API. It has got a major implementation here. So if you see here, the interface which I was talking about, you have got interface. The basic interface which we need to know about is Newton collection. Yeah. You have got set, sorted set, navigable set, queue. All these things are important. All these things are used, are one or the other part of your collection framework. Apart from this was for collection. Now the second part is for your map. So even for your map, you have got some basic interfaces which you use. Okay, so you can also see there are going to be some common methods, common operation that they are very common for all the things which we have. Okay, so collections do not support modifications like all these things, but collections are not, so it is going to give you all the information. So I need not go in that detail. Now you can see here, this is a very good example. Yeah. Do you understand this? What it is implemented and what are the styles? So if you see here, there's an interface. There are all the interfaces which we use. We have got list, set, DQ, and map. Basically, it has to be queue or something. And then here you have your hash table. Hash table is implemented by using hash set and hash map. Resizable array, I would say a dynamic array is implemented using array list and linked list, array list and array DQ. Then balance tree is implemented by using tree. Linked list is by using linked list and link. Okay, again, it goes in both the places. It is also there in list and DQ. Next is hash table plus linked list. You have got these two options. So if you see this categorization, this is what you have here. Okay, this thing is your data structures, which is implemented by using these classes, by using these methods, by using these interfaces. Get the point? Yeah. So despite of going there here and there and searching for a lot of things, you can always refer to these guides. They are really important. They are really to the point. You're not going to be you won't fall off the track if you try to understand what is going on in here. There's also something called as concurrent array. For now, we can just keep it on hold and go for the basic ones, and then we can go ahead with this. It again is a very big deal. The goals and everything, you get to know about it. Yes. So this is your documentation. Again, if you need to search for, these were all the interfaces, right? Let me just share this. So you have an idea. One thing. The second thing that you can search for is all the classes. Okay, if you want to start from the basics for all these things, Java T-Point, like you can see, study tonight, then Java T-Point, like I said, tutorial point. These websites are really good. So you can refer to them. Okay. So again, there's a collection overview that you can see. I think it is going through in the same time. Yes, it is. So I'm not having all the classes in here. I can search for it. Okay, so we'll open another search. Yeah, it is opening another search. So if not possible, it's okay. We can always move on to this one. Okay. So all the classes that you need, all the things that you have are present in here. So if I start from the very basic, if I have to tell you what you need to go ahead with is you need to understand what entirely this collection framework consists of. Collection framework consists of two basic categorization. One is collection and the other one is map. Okay, collection data, collection interface, or the collection category solely deals with the data, wherein the data is a collection of objects. Whereas in map, the data is collection of objects which are in the form of key value pairs. Okay, that is the basic difference. Okay, so if you move on for collection, for more categorization, you can see collection interface is inherited by three more primary interfaces, which is list, queue, and set. Yes, so this is what I'm talking about. This particular thing, list, queue, and set. These three things are inherited by your primary collection framework. Now, once you understand the primary interfaces, now you need to know what are the other implementations. So if I talk about list interface, okay, now let's start with this one first, out here, list interface. You basically go and search for that. Okay, so it is list interface of collection framework. Okay, you will get to know. So Java take point again, you have this geeks for geeks list interface. Again, Java doc. So here you can see it is an ordered collection. Okay, sometimes it is also called a sequence. Each and every technical words or the statements that you would require to reproduce while you are giving your interview is present in here. So if you refer to this and prepare your things accordingly for what you need to answer in technicality, then you can go with this. When it comes the time wherein you need to write down the program, here their programs are given, but they are in a very broken manner. Broken as in they go according to the concept. But if you want to see for what exactly it does, you can always refer to these sites, and they are going to give you exact programs for the same, or you can research accordingly for the same. Okay, so this is where you can search. Okay, basic thing. Okay, so enough of this. So first thing, you'll search for collection hierarchy. Second, for all the interfaces. Then you pick up one of the interfaces and then dig into it. Like if I go ahead with list, what do you have in list? List has got a lot of implementation, basically three, four that we can talk about. It is not mentioned in here, but of course it is. It will be there. Okay, so there are some algorithms also implemented, so you can go ahead with all these things. Apart from this, there are queue interface. So you can see the interfaces of all the stuff is given in here. So you can refer to all. Now, this is something that I can share with you. Interfaces and its definitions. Now let's search for collections. Can I just only go for collections? I don't know. Yeah, I can go for only collections, and here things are present. So if I have to go for, I don't have a site map. Let's go for the train. Yeah, so there's the full train list implementations. You better use this one. Okay, once your basics are clear, now you can go and implement your programs. Let me just show you for one implementation, and then you can go ahead with the later ones. Okay, again the same stuff, right? No, it is for implementation. General purpose implementation. So if you talk about, there are two general purpose implementation, Arraylist and linked list. These are all the classes that they are talking about. Implementation of an interface is nothing but implementing the interface into a class. This is what we have. Yes, this is what we can refer to. So there's special purpose, copy and write, Arraylist. Then there is one more level. Okay, so this is one thing that you can refer to. Second, now I can just pick one. There is given, everything is given, you just have to open it. All the links are hyperreferences are given to you. You can just refer to it and elaborate your knowledge. Yes, the basic methods, all the methods which you have. Let's say there are some instance methods. Instance method as in you'll have to create the object of that class, and only then it is accessible to you. Things like this. Okay, the basic ones which we use is add. Let's say all the variations of add, or maybe say I've got add all. Then there's clear. Clone is used for some of the other time you can use that. Then there's for each. Okay, if you wish to check, then is empty, last index of. List iterator is the method which you use, the common ones. Okay, then you have remove all. Okay, others, it depends. Now we can make use of sort if I'm going for the basic list operations, which I think I was having somewhere. So we can use all those things. So you can see methods which are coming from abstract list. Equals and hash code are coming from abstract list method. Then collect. So all these methods are not fully contained within this class. It is coming from some or the other. It has been inherited from some or the other interfaces that your class is using, that your class is implementing from. So you'll be getting a better idea about it. Okay, just have a look. You don't have to go through everything, but you should be knowing what exactly all these things is. So the structure will be maintained in your head. Why to use, when to use, everything is mentioned. So it is going to help you in that perspective. Okay, so now let me start coding. Okay, now this is enough. Let's see how do you code for this one. Okay, it is very simple, not a rocket science. We can directly go ahead with the normal basic implementations for this. So right now we are going to start with collections list. Okay, let's see. Guys, it is really important for you to know all the names of the classes and interfaces. It is really very, very important. And the placement in the hierarchy. Okay, I'm telling you this again because it is going to help you to remember how things work. Okay. I am creating a class. I am going to implementing Arraylist. Okay, so we need to see how Arraylist works. So I'm going to say this is Arraylist. If I write my class, if I write a class with the name Arraylist, it is going to give me an error. So it's actually not required because Arraylist is already a class which is present in neutral package. So if you try to again create an Arraylist object, it is going to override the thing. So just don't do that. Okay, always make sure you have got a separate name or a different name for it. Okay, I need to place this inside this thing. So a package name always required. com.ml. We are doing collection. Okay, collection framework. It is up to you. Want to write the full name dot lists. Okay, we are into lists. Maybe I need public starting void main and I will finish. Okay, so here I get my array list. You can write down the code inside public static void main. Okay, it's up to you. Or you can do it in two different methods. It is totally your call. Okay, let's say we do it here and later on I can just modify it according to our requirement. Okay, so how do you create an array list? So first of all, this collection framework is present inside your utility package, which is very important. Okay, utility package, or I would say util package. So how do you do that? How do you get that? You write import what? Java.util.star. Once you do star, everything which is present inside the util package will be accessible to you. Okay, so I might be using more than one thing. So I can just specify that in that detail. Okay, maybe I don't want to go for everything. I'm just going to use Arraylist. So instead of this, I can be more specific and say, what can you go for Arraylist? Okay, you can be more specific. If at all you're using more than one collection classes or interfaces into your system, then it's okay if you go for this one. Okay, the line of code is reduced. Now, you can just check for this one. Now, what do we do here? Arraylist. Okay. Now, this is something related to generic. We'll talk about that in some time. Arraylist, and I am creating a list. Let me just call it a list is equal to new Arraylist. You cannot create an object of list because list is an interface implemented by Arraylist. Okay, so the hierarchy goes in this way. If I have to talk for only for only this one, okay. Let's say the very first thing that comes here is the hierarchy is iterable, which is extended by your interface called as collection, okay, which is henceforth extended by list. All these three things are your interface. The next thing that you have is abstract list. This is class. okay, which is extended by your array list, which is a class again. So this is the whole hierarchy. So to write this particular array list, all the methods and anything that you have in any of these things are by default inherited into this class. And we have got a lot of methods that we can use for a particular operation. Do you understand? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
So how do we write it in here? Now, like I said, array list or collection is collection of objects. So I cannot store primitive types. That means if I have got data and I is equal to 10, I cannot store this type of data, this primitive data. So instead of writing it in this way, I can actually write the program by using wrapper classes. Integer I is equal to new integer, and then I can specify value 10. Now the value is converted into an object type, and now you can store it accordingly. Do you get this? Okay. If you don't want to do this, even then it is going to be fine. So how do you add elements into the array list? So let's say we'll say list dot. So you can see all the methods which are available. So this add method is actually specified by the interface collection, which has been descended to list, which has been overridden by abstract list, and now you're using it. Like I said, the whole hierarchy. Yes, add method is from collection, in short. Okay, so I will say list dot, and I need to add. So I've got various things. Where do you wish to add your data? I want to add it into a sequential pattern, so I'll just make it this way. So I just need to add my data, where in the name of my data is I suppose. I will go integer is the name given. Yeah, this is my data. Yes. Let's try to see the output. So I can simply write list and I'll be getting the data because it is the detail, it is into different format. I can directly see the value present into it in the form of list, in the form of array. Yeah, understood?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
now let's say this is quite tedious task for me. I can also add my data like this. Still it will work. Why? Because now this has been implicitly converted from a primitive type to an object type, and then it is storing my data. So I can also have other types, like I can have double data. So I'll say double one, or double one is equal to new double. Let's say I want to store the details of an employee. Okay, so this is employee ID, this is the salary of the employee, and I would say double, and I need to give some value. So here I am giving some value, something like this. And then I am putting, okay, let me just have this before. Okay, let's say I'm also having string. So I'm saying string, let's say name is equal to new string. Yeah. And I'm giving some value in here. Yes. And now I need to add it one by one. So how do you add it? Let's say I would say list dot add, and then the other object that I have. Yes, the other objects that I have into my system. So I'll say name. Yeah, previously if it was ID, now I can at this time, so I can just make it some value. Similarly, you can do it for this one. Okay, so instead of this, now you have value, which is your salary. Yes. So now if I wish to see the data, I have got my simple data in here. Yeah, simple as that. Now, if I wish to remove some data, let's say, how do we remove it? Okay, so I'll say list. Okay, let's say I want to add one more information. I want to add an element at a particular position. Let's say list dot add. I need to add what should I add? I need to add the age. Let's say I'm adding the age is 42, but at a particular position. So here this is 0, 1, 2. So I want to add it at the position 2. So I can write it in this. Yes. Now let's see the output after adding an element after on a particular position. Let's see whether it has happened or not. Yes, you can see previously which was holding another value, now it is holding this value. Yes, so you can add collections. I can just show you that as well, but later on when we go for the next one. Okay, so I want to remove the data. Let's say I want to remove the salary. So how can I do that? List dot remove. I can remove all, okay, everything, just to get rid of every problem that I might have. Or I can just remove and maybe say for minutes. I am saying from the index 3 and I want to print the value. And here we go. Yes, likewise, you can perform all the other tasks which you have. Now, this was okay, fine. So I've got some set of data. I'm working with it. Now, what if my data is huge? Okay, it's not possible for me to get through each of the elements at a particular point of time. So it is required for me to iterate through my data. It is very much required. Being an array, iteration is the key to get an access to each and every element to perform. Maybe I want to perform the same type of operation on each of the elements. So iteration is required. So iteration is done by using iterator. Iterator again is an interface. Okay, so I'm going to create an iterator. Okay, again, this can be of a specific type. Okay, so I can say iterator, let's name it as iterator is equal to. Now, this iterator has to be implemented onto the list. So I will say iterate list dot iterator. There's a method called as iterator, which is going to iterate on each element of the list one at a time and place it inside iterator object reference. Let me just call it as ITR. Yes. Now, how do you iterate? I'll say while. Okay, while ITR dot has next. Okay, like I said, it is used for iteration. So it is having all the methods that is required for you to perform iteration. So I'm saying it if it has got next, if iterator has got next value into it from the list, then you go and iterate and perform the task. Perform the task of printing value one at a time. So how am I going to do it? I'll say iterator dot next. This next is going to fetch one object at a time and will print in the value as per your requirement. So instead of writing all these things, I can simply, iterate to the three values which I have and will be getting the same. Something like this. To get this? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Easy. So now collection framework was actually created for us to have a similar type of programming without having to do a lot of hard work while performing the task. It is very easy for us now. But the same thing if I have to do into my other classes, the predecessors of Java, then it becomes difficult for me. What I'm talking here about is C and C++. Yes, there I have to create a pointer, the node, and all those things. All those implementation and everything is sorted out here. You just create an object. You just create an object of a class and then start working and perform all the tasks as per your understanding, as per your wish. Yes? Good with this? Similarly, I have one more. Okay. So you need to perform all the tasks, okay? Just try to do list and try to add whichever things are possible for you. Okay, so this is the next class that I'm trying to implement. I'm going to fetch the same thing. This is with generic, okay? Let me just show you how Arraylist with generic. Okay, generic has got a few more things, but I'm just going to keep it simple for you now. You can just iterate accordingly. Now, what is with generic? Let's say I've got the same type of data with me. Okay. This is the same type of data. I wish to add it. Okay. This is how am I going to work with it. Now, instead of writing things in this way, what if I specify this array list to be of a particular type by using these brackets? So I say I want to only store string value into it. That is, I am making it 10. I can specify if I don't do that. Then it will work out. Something like this. Yeah. If I do that, it is giving me an error for ID and name because both of these types are of integer of non-string type. So I cannot add all these details in here except for the string because I've specified the list to be only generalized to string values. So I will have to change these values. Let's say now I will have to store the value in string format. The same value which we had in here will be now stored in string format. Okay. It is not necessarily you're going to store your string, your integer or double data in here, but maybe you have got some list of a shopping list and you can work in this. Yes, this is how you do it. So again, you can just have an iterator and looping and you can work accordingly. So now this is only going to show me string data. Okay, so now if I have to iterate, how will I do that? How do you think iteration can be done? Let's say we can try use a for. Okay, I am saying string s in list. Okay, and I'm saying so, and I'm printing the value of s. Let's see whether this works. I'll tell you what I'm doing in. Yeah, this is your for each loop. You get this, people? Yes. So my reason to show you each and everything in here is for you to understand that a particular code can be written in a various format, okay, and all the different types of things that you can think about. If you have an idea of a particular concept that, yes, let's try to implement it into this perspective, do try it. Do see how things go is when you actually try to implement your code. Unless and until you don't write the code, if unless and until you don't type out the code with your own hands, you won't understand what is happening with the system. Your brain has to be trained in that perspective. So if I have to say in for big picture, you should at least write down 10 codes in a 10 practice 10 code in a single day. Okay, so that you become very much acquainted in typing up, so that all the errors that you might encounter can be resolved and you get a lot of practice from these 10 programs within the given schedule for our course. Yes, do I make sense here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Pete. Okay. So now this was okay. Good for us. Now, there is also one more thing which we have here, which is called as this is Iterator, right? We also have something called as list Iterator. Okay, so instead of writing Iterator, I can also make use of list Iterator, which is an interface of interface again, which is specific only for list values. Okay, list classes. So let me just show you here. Let's make it more generic and everything, and I'll show it to you here. Let's say I am creating a list Iterator of the type string. Okay, and because it is generic, yeah, I'm having string values only. So I'll say list iterator is equal to list list dot list iterator. Now this is the method which will be of use. Here it was iterator, and here we are making use of list iterator. You can see the basic difference which has come. Now the other difference. The question is asked difference between iterator and list iterator. The basic difference here is that iterator can be used for any type of collection present in the collection present under collection interface, whereas list iterator is specific to list classes only, list interface classes only. Okay, so what I mean here is that if I have to perform any task only for list classes, then I can make use of it. I can also make use of this into my list interface, into my linked list. and everything. So let me just copy paste. The same thing is applicable. You write while loop, you iterate through this particular list, and then you get the value. Something like this. Yeah. If you want to see the output again, you can see the output. Okay. Now, let me show you the basic difference between linked list and array list. So linked list is internally going to work in the form of your node and the pointer to the next and previous thing. So here, linked list in Java is a circular linked list which has got a pointer to the next and the previous node. Okay, circular doubly linked list, sorry, which has got a reference to both. So here, if I try to create one, I'll say list, linked list. Okay, need to extend that. It is not, I'm not making it generic. I'm just creating a list is equal to new linked list. Again, not required to be generic. Okay, so the syntax can be done automatically. I can have all the type of data that I've specified in here. Again, things are same. The very basic thing that you must have noticed in here is that array is again a predecessor, or you can say the very first thing that came into picture, which stores the list of data, collection of data of same data type, whereas an array list is going to store the list or data in continuous pattern, but it is the dynamic array. You can see I've added the element later. I've removed the element later as even after when the list was created in the very beginning. Yes. Similar thing happens in here. Here, the data is going to be stored, but here the data will not be stored in the form of a continuous thing because it follows the norm of linked list. Now the data will be stored in the form of nodes, which is going to have data, which is going to have pointer to the next node next in the previous thing. So here, if I have to store the data, let's say I am saving the value in here, something like this, and push to iterate. So I can make use of iterator, simple thing that I had already, this one. Okay, I can make use of iterator to iterate. I can make use of list iterator to iterate. Okay, both of them are allowed. Yes. So if I want to see the output, it is going to be the same. Yeah. Let me just show you what is the difference again. So this is for moving in forward direction. Okay, I can also move in backward direction since my linked list is done. Okay, so I can say backward direction. And here, I need not specify this. It's okay. Once done, it is okay. So now, since I'm going to the has next value, now here the list iterator is on to the last pointer that is pointing to the last node. So now from there, if I want to go and check for the previous one, so I can go for dot has previous. There's a method to check whether there is a previous thing present, previous object present for that or not, and then previous again. And now if we wish to see the value, we can surely see difference. You can see this is the first one, the iterator, how it works. This is in the forward direction. The same way how iterator is going to work from the very basic stuff. Whereas in backward, I can also start from where the pointer has left. It is starting from that point and giving me the value. Yes, do you get the deal? This is the basic difference between iterator, list iterator, array list. Then there's add method, remove method, and I can also add all the collections which I have. I can create one collection and add it in here. So there are a lot of things which are covered. Do you guys get this? For each loop again. Yes? You
Yes,
guys
ma'am.
understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, what I did. So I want you all to write this program. Okay. I want you all to try to implement this into your system. Now, just take 10 minutes and try implementing into your system. Okay, I'm going to keep sharing my screen, but I want you all to implement this as however it is possible for you. Both Arraylist and English, try to implement or try to see whatever I have done so far, how it is going to work. Because if you have, you're going to have doubts only when you're going to practice the code. So it is the next 10 minutes, you try executing the code for Arraylist and Linked. Using the same program, do the same. A single program would work. Yeah. in 10 minutes. Any progress? Yes, guys? Yes. Shall we continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Understood. Did you all try this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, one of the important things is your vector. Okay, we'll see that, and then the rest of the whole thing will just directly move on to. I'm only going to show you the implementation for important classes, not for all of them. Okay, let's say for example, we are going for vectors. So again, vector is a thing in here. Okay, vector is a class. So it is similar to an array, which is a dynamic array rather. It is one of the legacy classes to implement data structures. So what we can do here is we can do the same thing, right? We can have vector dot add element. Instead of that, I can go for element. It is going to add the object. Let's say I'm adding 101. Then I'm adding vector dot add element. Say this is for the name. The same thing. Okay, I'm not making any changes in here. It is the same thing, just to understand how things work. Or maybe let's say I'm having some other values in here. I want to print it. Again, it remains the same. I can either go for system.out.println, or I can go for the iterator for that reason. Let's say, for example, I am iterating. I'm just showing you this data. Working fine, not a big deal. Now, in this, there are two important methods that you need to know about. The first one is the difference, basically, how it is going to be displayed. The first one is size. One method is size, okay? And let's say I just call it here as I said it, okay? And the other one is capacity, okay? Size and capacity, the basic difference is size is the value which it holds at that particular instance, how many elements are contained. Capacity is how many element it can hold, okay? So let's say here, I am going to just show it to you how it works, capacity. Let's see how this is. So initially, when I create a vector, there's some, we'll call it, there's a default value generated. And then once you add the elements, then what is the size and the capacity, we'll get to see that too. So initially, the size and the capacity are 0 and 10. Okay, that means it has got no value. That is the reason why the size is 0. And the default capacity of a vector is 10. That means it is going to hold 10 element at this particular point of time. Okay, again, duplicates are allowed. And if you see here, after adding 3 elements, okay, you can see the size increased and now the capacity is still there. So let me just add few duplicate values into it. Let's say I'm just adding this one for a lot, many number of time. Okay, so let's say 1, 2, 3. So 3 done, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now let's see the size and capacity. Okay, duplicates allowed, so it is not going to give any issue and it will give the output. Okay, initially 0, then it was 3, and then the size increased to 10. Now let's add just one element. Okay, just a single element. Okay, and now let's see the size and capacity. Now it is going to go out of the capacity. That means after 10, what should happen? It is going to double the size. That means now the size will be 20. So when you reach 20, once you try to add element 21, the size will be 40. And then 80, and then 160, and the size will increase exponentially, which is actually a problem, right? So there was one solution given. Okay, so instead of having the default size, I can here specify the size by 5. Okay, so now let's see the difference. So I'll just comment this one, or maybe close this one. So here what I'm having the basic original size and capacity, adding the 3 elements, and then we'll see them adding one more, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, so the size is 0, capacity, like I've specified for the vector, is 5. So now it is going to be fine. What if I try to add 2 elements, or let's say 4 elements, or let's say 5 elements? Okay, now it is more than 5, 3, 3, 6. So here again, the capacity will double the size. So now here it is from 5 to 10, then 10 to 20, 20 to 40. So again, it is the same idea. The only deal is here, it is starting with 5, right? So I need to work in here. So here we have got increment by increment size, how with what size the capacity should be changing. So I can add up 2 parameters in here. So if I'm changing something, so let's say what would be the output. So you can see the initial size for this one, from not adding anything, it is 0. Capacity is 5 as per my declaration. Next, I'm adding 3 elements. So the size is 3 and the capacity is 5. So next I'm adding 3 more elements wherein it falls off the size capacity, the capacity of the vector. So the size becomes 6 and the capacity is only incremented by 2. So the capacity which was 5 now has been incremented by 2, that is 7. So when I try to add the 8th element, it is going to go for 9. Then I like to add more elements, then it is going to be, let's say, 11 and so on. Yes, so this is how you manage that. Likewise, you have got other things in here. Let's say you have other methods that you can use, vector dot remove element. Then there's to copy into, contains, to check whether this particular list contains a particular object that I am searching for, whether it is empty or not. I can search for it. Again, I can make use of iterator. Okay, so the same thing comes in here. You can see it has got the same detail, everything the same, except it also has legacy methods into it. Legacy methods are add element, remove element. Anything with element is legacy. Yes, otherwise, add, remove, all those things are automatically coming into these as well. Understood, people? This is your vectors. Any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Good? Okay, fine. So this was all about lists. The next thing that we can move on to is queue. Any idea what is queue? Queue follows the principle first in, first out. So here we have got one such as priority queue. Okay, that we are going to see how it works. What are the biggest details or things that you have in priority queue? Again, now queue, unlike a list, are generic. I can only have a queue of a particular type. That means, let's say I'm creating a shopping list. The shopping list is going to have all the details that I want for my house. I may be requiring something for grocery, some you call some household products. some snacking. So I'm having a list of different types, right? It is allowed. Maybe I'm going specifically for a particular thing. So I can generalize my list and say I'm only going for shopping of my grocery. So the list is going to be of that generic term. So we were creating string as of a generic type for string for your array list that we had. Now here, if I am creating queue has to follow the principle of first in, first out. You need not worry about it. Internally, it is working with that. So whichever element goes first will come out first. That is first in and first out. So, sorry. So in here, I am creating a queue. I want to go for a doctor's appointment. The queue is only going to be for those people, those who are sick, sorry. So if they are sick, they are going to go in there, get themselves cured, and then go for the appointment. If I've got a queue for paying a bill, maybe I've got a queue for performing a particular task. So it is specific, it is generic, and hence queue are generic. So I need to be in that perspective. I need to create a queue in that perspective only. So let's say we are creating priority queue. Okay, I can make it generic. Okay, so I should be making it generic. So I'll say string. Okay, queue is equal to new priority. Yes. Now let's try to add. Queue.add. Again, you can do the same thing. So let me just add, there are some okay. All the derivatives of my name. Okay, and then I'm trying to print the value. Let's say keep. Yes. So now, not a big deal, right? What I want to show you is the functionality that you implement. Q dot push. So you have push. Q is not having push, it is having enqueue, right? Which cannot be implemented. You can add it in here, or maybe you can remove, or maybe you can peek. Yes, you can peek. Okay. For adding you have add, here you can peek. Peek is going to do something, and also, okay, let's say I did a peek. I am showing the output. Okay, let's do the other one. Okay, the other one which I have in here is, let's say, code, and let's see the output. Okay, this is the initial list. What happens after peaking, I wish to see. What happens after polling, I need to see that. So here is the output. What do you think? What do you think, people? What happened? Any idea? This just peaked. That means it just displayed the value. Yes, you can see here. It is displaying the first value that was into the picture. Yes, but when I say poll is going to display and remove the value from the list. Okay, on the basis of first in, first out. Okay, but later on, the sequence of the list was changed. You can see, as per this, the next element which I had was Nehal, and this. So it has to be in the same sequence, but now it changed because we are working with priority queue and there has been a priority assigned to each one of them, right? So we can assign priority and we can work accordingly. Yes. So they go for, maybe they go for the index, the ASCII value that you have, the priority has been assigned now based on the ASCII code. Okay. So you can see here, right, the things have changed accordingly. Yes. Simple. There's one more thing that you can implement, and I want you all to implement, which is array DQ. Okay, array DQ is one of the implementation of arrays in queue. Okay. One more thing that I missed here is that A linked list is one of the special classes which implements both list and queue. Okay, more towards it implements the queue interface, which we have into our collection framework. Yes, this is about queue that I wish to talk about. The next thing, again, you can implement Iterator in here. Okay, Iterator will be used and you can efficiently work. If you want to see, if you wish to iterate for this, then you can make use of Iterator. Iterator. String type iterator is equal to q dot iterator. Or you can also make use of for each loop because it is of a single type, so it will help you to deal with that as well. So again, while iterator dot has next, you iterate and print me the value for each value is present in the list. So it is something, oops, this one dot next. This one. Yes, so we'll be getting the value accordingly. Like this. Yes, this is your priority queue. Be good so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, moving on to the next one. Now, next, let's create one class for set. Okay, so now what you need to do is you need to type out the code. Okay, see how you can implement what all iterations can be done and how things can be created with generic and non-generic data. Along with that, you are going to write down the key features or the points that I'm saying in here. Okay, like you can have duplicate values inside the list. You can have um, uh, you can have null. We did not see that, right? Let's see whether all these things are allowed or not. Let's say I'm adding an element, I'm making a generic thing, okay, or maybe say something like this. Now I'm trying to add this list dot add, and I am adding that. Do you think null is allowed? Let's see whether null is allowed or not. Yes, nulls are allowed. Duplicate. Let's see whether duplicates can be added into the system or not. Yes, duplicates are allowed. So these are the common features with which you're going to differentiate with among each and every class which you have in your collection framework. Okay, so this was for calculating a null allowed. Okay, and this was for duplicate allowed. Yes. Now let's check for the other ones. In our vectors, of course, it is the same deal. Let's talk about this one. Okay, I am trying to add this element again. Okay, and let me just this is to check for duplicate. Okay. What do you think? Duplicate is allowed?
Yes, ma'am.
How? Why? Let's take up a very good example here. If the person is standing for the queue or for the doctor's appointment and the person wants to come back again, it's okay. It is a basic requirement to come back. So queue can have this again, but based on the priority queue, they are coming here. Okay. Otherwise, it would have come at the end. Okay, something like this. Now let's check for null, whether nulls are allowed. Q dot add. Let's go for null. Yeah. So this says null is not allowed. You cannot have null into your data. Null not allowed. Yes, so based on this that you perceive here, that you see in here, you will remember things. So if a question is asked to you, define what do you know about it, just say what do you mean by priority queue. So whatever you have done in your code, you can just spit it out. You can just paraphrase it or just frame it into your statement and get it out. Okay, it's not spit, it's a bad word. It is basically you can just get into a proper statement. Okay, reproduce it. So I can say that priority queue is one of the classes which implements queue interface. It has got all the properties like it follows the principle of first in, first out, and it is of generic type. That means I can store the data of a particular type only. It allows us to have duplicate values. It is not going to allow us to add any null values. Otherwise, if I try to add one, it is going to give me a null pointer exception. So I'm just talking everything which is there onto my screen. I'm not going for anything else. So I can make use of peek method to display the top element or the element which is supposed to come out first. Okay. The next is poll method. It is used to display the value and remove them from the list. So it is going to pick up the first element that went into the list and will throw it out. Okay. And then I can, to iterate through the queue, I can make use of iterator. And if I want, I can also make use of for each loop for the same. Yeah. So this is all I have. From this program itself, I'm able to talk out what this concept is all about. So like I've told you yesterday, once you do your code, you are in a better position to understand or to paraphrase or to get up with a statement for as your answer for your interview. Do you get the point?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, people?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So it goes in this way. So now the next thing which we need to go through is set. Let's see how set works. Okay, so there are three things. Set is an interface. Okay, first thing that we should be knowing about set. Set we have done in math, right? In mathematics, we had set. Set was a set of a particular data, set of all prime numbers. So within a particular range. So I'll be having data such as 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So this is one. Then set is going to be from natural numbers and all those things. So they were the thing, all these things present. So let's see how this works. So you have got hash set, linked hash set, and tree set. Okay, so you have hash set. Let's see how this works. Hash set and hash table or hash map, they are used for implementing hashing. Okay, hashing is one of the things, one of the data structures technique, which helps you to optimize your searching and sorting techniques. So you're doing that in here by simply creating a class and its object and adding all the elements that you want to be searched and sorted efficiently. Yes. Once you're done with all these basic stuff, all implementing all these class, then you're going to move on to comparator and comparable. Just try to implement that. Okay, that is something that you're going to do at your end. Try to see how this works. It is again one of the interview questions. By using comparator, you are supposed to sort your elements. Okay, based on age, number, or anything that you have. Let's say you accept the data uh, um, for maybe say 10 employees or something, you need to sort or search for the data. Then you can make use of that. So hash set. Okay, it can be generic, non-generic. Let's see. Hash set is equal to new hash set. Okay. And I am going to try to add 3 different types of value here. Okay. Because I want to see whether it is generic or non-generic. This is how I check. So first thing, I'm adding integer 101. Okay, good. And I'm adding a string. Okay, not an issue. I think generic is allowed. Yes, so with this, I can say that because I've seen with my own eyes, I can say that hash set are not generic as well as non-generic. I can have all the type of data into it. Okay, let's say I just make it this way. Now, to display the value, we can go for a simple SISO statement. Okay, and print in the value for the set. Okay, let's see, it works in the same way. Except it is giving me a very awkward value. I don't understand. Okay, but as per my sequence, it is supposed to give me 101, Neha, and then the other one, right? But it is giving me the data in such a way. What do you think? I need to change this because it is supposed to be some in somewhere else. Okay, let me just rename this as well. Let me just say set demo, and we'll be having everything in here. Why do you think? Yes, guys? I asked a question, right? Yes, why is it giving me such a value? Okay, so this was one implementation. Let's move on to the other one. Let me just show you what happens if I try to use linked hash set. Let me just rename it to linked hash set. Can you see it? Yes, it is here. Non-generic type. Okay, copy. Linked hash set. Linked hash set is equal to new linked hash set. There we go. Okay, let me just call it as set one. Okay, this is my first set that I just created. Okay, and this is my set two instead of such a big name. Okay, so now let's see what will happen if I try to do the same data. Okay, I've got the same data, but now I'm trying to implement it by using linked list. Let's see the output. Okay, the first list remains in some awkward sequence, and this one is actually following the same sequence. Yes. So now there's a question asked, what is the difference between hash set and linked hash set? Now you can answer it. Yes. So the answer is it in hash set, the data is inserted. Okay. So insertion happens based on hash code. Okay, because we are making use of hashing, the data is inserted as per the hash function that we have seen in hash code, right? There's some hash function implemented onto the data, and then based on the pointer, the data is stored. So you can see, so the first thing that comes in here is this, and then based on the hash code and hash function, the second value is this, and then this. So you can also check for the hash code by using hash code method of object class for this reason. Okay. And the next one here, the insertion is based on, it is actually, it follows, here it follows, follows insertion order, whichever insertion is happening here. Here the insertion order is follows hash code order. Okay, hash code insertion. Yes, based on hash code. So you can check for that. Let's say for the next one, I have the other value, that is other class tree set. Yes, you can again make it generic, non-generic, as per your requirement, as per your understanding, as per your circumstances. Okay, so I just make it set 3 is equal to and new tree set, and here we go. I'm just trying to add the same thing, and we'll be printing the same detail in here. So except for set 2, it is going to be set. Oops, we added 3. Okay, and I'm printing the same value. Now let's see what happens if I'm making use of tree set, executing the code. So there's something happened. Yeah, if you read the error message, it is going to say everything. So first of all, the exception which is occurred here is class cast exception. So what is happening here? Tree set, what it does. Tree is based on some root and the node value, right? It is supposed to get into a hierarchy, and then it is supposed to give you the data. So you can, it usually goes, it follows, if I have to give you this, it follows insertion order. It follows ASCII code. Do you know what this is? ASCII order. Yes, do you know what is ASCII? ASCII is American Standard Code. Yes, for information interchange. So ASCII code, so there's an ASCII code for capital A, uppercase A, which is 65, for lowercase a, it is 98. For numbers or numerals, it starts from maybe 40, something in 40s. So based on that, the value will be displayed. So now the problem here is that it has to compare between the values. So it cannot be of different types. So what is happening here, if I'm not generalizing, that means if I'm not giving this, so it is automatically setting the value for this particular set to be of integer type, and hence it is giving us error of this type. So the second thing that you can specify in here is that this is of generic type. This is generic. Okay, while the other two are not generic. So I have to just make this go. Okay, maybe I can just comment this one and let's try to execute. Still cast exception because it cannot convert because it is of generic type. So let's say I am going to save this. Automatically, it has been changed up to integer type. Let's say this would be 1, 0, 2, and 3. And now if I try to save, the data is going to go as per the ASCII. I want to see the data change. Let's see, I have got something like this. Okay, let's see what will be the output. Again, we are talking about ASCII, right? It is following the ASCII sequence. Do you get the point? So if at all I'm not going in this, I just have to specify integer in here. Okay, so this is what we do. This is your tree set. So you can just come up with your own statements and understand how this works. Again, the next thing that we can look up to is for the duplicate values. Let's see whether any duplicate values is allowed or not. Okay, let's see for hash set, whether any duplicate is allowed. The list changes, no duplicates, not allowed, not required. It will not entertain. For this one, linked list, linked hash set, again, duplicates not allowed. Maybe for this one, you can just pick up whichever you want. Okay, I'm just picking up the last one because it was convenient for me. And the output. No. So in short, set does not allow you to have duplicate, a very general term which can go for all the set implementing classes. You get this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, people. This is your set. Once you have done set, it becomes pretty easy for you to work with map. Okay, because they are almost the same. So let's see how map is going to work. So let me just create. So there was one collection interface is done. Now we are directly moving on to the other thing, which is map. It is from collection framework, but it is not from collection. So I can just say maps and let's say maps demo. We'll see all of them at the same time. So I'm just trying to do it in the same class, just to see the same difference. Okay, like we did, map is going to be generic. It is generic by default. That means you will have to specify which kind of data you're working with. So if I'm working with hash map, the first class, which we have, hash map, you can see here. So you need to specify the two values, that is the key and the value pair in here. Okay, so I say the key will be of integer type and the value is going to be of string type, something like this. Okay. So the next thing, I'm creating an employee, hash map for employee. I will say new hash map, and here it goes. Yes, let's try. Oh, we did not try to add null in here, right? Let's also try to add null for this one to check whether null is allowed or not. Okay, set one dot add null. Okay, let's go for all of them. This is for set 2, and this is for set 3. So it is allowed here, but because of being of a different type, it is not going to allow you to add null in. So null is allowed for the other two, but not in this one. Okay. You can just come up with your own statements again. The next thing, we were working on map, right? So for map, let's try to add. Now we don't have add method. Add method was there from collection interface, which was the other part of collection framework. Now here, because we are working with map, we cannot use add method. Instead of that, we have method called as put. Okay, so this put is going to have two things. Okay, one is the integer value, and the other one is the value. Yes, let's see the first thing that I added. Okay, the first, second, the third. Let's say I'm adding 4 elements. Here I am going for the sequence 4. This is for the sequence 2. This is for the sequence, let's say, 9. Okay, something like that. Okay, and I try to keep this as, let's say we have the common names of this universe, Preeti, and one more common. Let's say I want to go for Apple. That's okay. And I wish to print the value. So of course, CISO works. Yes, but for iterations, CISO is not the option. Yes, 101, 102, 104, 109. Again, this is working as per hash code. Okay, hash code is nothing but the key value, right? Hash code, sorry, this particular thing is going to create a hash function which will create a key. And based on that key, the value that is Neha, Pooja, Preeti, and Apple will be stored. So the keys that you see here, which we already have in map, is this, and hence it is going to go with that sequence. Yes? Understood? Other thing which we have is linked hash map. Okay, again, it has to be of a specific type. Let's say this is integer and this one is string. Okay, I will say this is emp1 is equal to new this, and let's try to add the value. Okay, it is again the same. Yeah, so now here we try to go for 1, 1, 1, and of course, this is the object of linked hash map. You can see it maintains the insertion order. Linked list is maintained because it is creating a pointer, right? So it is going to go in the order in which it was generated or in which it was created. The next one is tree. So we can also work with that. Tree map. Okay, again, integer and string. Okay, so this is emp2 is equal to new tree type, which I have. And everything is the same. We just need to see how this works. This is 2, 2, and 2. And let's see the output. Yes, the same sequence in which it was there previously. It is following the ASCII value of the keys which you have mentioned in here. Let's say you give the key as 9 for this one. The ASCII value of 9 is going to be less. So it is following that sequence. You get the point? So again, you can check for null. You can check for whether it is going to allow duplicates. And you can check for whether it allows duplicate key value is null. Okay, let's see that. Okay, let's see for the duplicate value. Okay, I am copying this duplicate value inside hash set. Let's pick up everything and just see. Of course, tree map won't allow us, it's going to give us an error. We're just checking for the first two ones. And the duplicates are not entertained. Okay, so no duplicates. First thing. The second thing that we can check for is null key value. Okay, this is if the value of my key is null. copy. Let's see, copy for this one. You just pick up anything that you, it's totally up to you. And this is for any value. Okay, and execute. So this will not entertain anything apart from what is mentioned into the check. So it is very tight. Except for the others, if you check here, hash map is allowing null. Hash map in this are allowing null as key. Okay, let's try to add the same null, okay, with different value. Okay, let's say this time it is apples. Okay, the same thing, but this time it is maybe say rabbit. Okay, so what will happen in here? You can see this one is not showing apples at all. It is showing, actually it is overriding. So null, which was having the pointer as apple, now is having the pointer as apples. So it is getting overridden. Only one null is allowed. Same thing goes in here. You can see previously it was apple, but now it is redirecting to rabbit. Yes, a single null value allowed. A single null key allowed. Okay, one more experiment that we can try. Duplicate values are allowed. You can see duplicate values are allowed because the keys are different. So it does not make a difference. You can have duplicate values. Let's check for this one. Duplicate keys are not allowed, but let's check whether duplicate values are allowed. Yes, and it is allowed. Okay, so let's just sum up. Okay, in for hash map, what can you say, guys? Hash map. So allows null, allows one null key. Okay. Okay, we can also add null as the value. Let's try for that one too. Okay, in that one it is not allowed. Null in here. Okay, maybe a different key value. Let's see if it is allowed. Yes, one null. Let's add one more. Yes, one null, two null. Yes. So one null key allows one null key and multiple null values. Yes, so you can come up with your own statement, people. The bottom line is again the same. You have to come up with your own statements once you try to understand what all things should be implemented. Okay, so nulls are allowed. It is going to follows the hash code sequence or hash code order. Okay, then the next thing is it can allow duplicates are not entertained. Duplicates not allowed, does not make any sense in here, and it is of the type generic. Yes, generic. Similarly for this one, okay, we can just write down whatever we think is appropriate for the same. Yes, guys, this is only for hash map that I've written. You have to write it for LinkedIn. So the program will contain everything that you want to prepare for your LinkedIn, in short. Now, one thing that I missed is now I want to iterate. Iteration is next because iterator was present at the other location. Do you think iterator will be useful in here? Let's try to iterate. So I am writing iterable. Okay, I don't want iterable. I want iterator. Iterator of the two type. Okay, it is going to be of two type. Let's see whether it is allowed. It's quite difficult, right? So I need to create an iterator of these two types for any of the three things that I am presenting. Okay. So I am creating an object is equal to emp dot iterator. Okay. Well, as I can see in here, there's no iterator present because iterator can implement only a single object value. So now if I have to iterate onto this, how can I do this? How can I iterate on maps? So for map, iteration can be done using map dot Yes. So now I leave it up to you. How do you do this? Now, this is your homework. This is something that you have to do to understand how iteration can be done, or how do you iterate all the elements which are present in your maps. Are we good here, people? So this is almost everything about map that I wanted to talk about, except you're also going to do a program to implement comparator or comparable. Yes, maybe I would have a program, but I am not sure about it. I might not have it. So you'll have to do some research and you can go ahead. Yes, we good so far?
Yes, ma'am.
So can you guys try this? Can you guys go ahead with this? Try implementing this to comparator. No, I don't have comparator with me. So I just took this time, the whole session for today, for you to be very clear with collection. Just be very sure about each and everything of collection framework. What do you have? How do you work with it and everything? Know about the interfaces, know about the classes, know about the iteration, how it can be done, know about the legacy classes, know about the implementation, what happens for each and every classes, and what kind of properties they produce in here for you to implement a particular task. Yes. And that's it from my end. So now, questions. I would request you all to come up with few questions that you can come up with. Yes, any question that you wish to ask? No question? We good here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we don't have a lot of time to start with new concept though, but I can give you an introduction to one of the concept called as object. Okay, so this is important. So I'll give you again example and what you need to prepare for object. Okay, within the same thing. I'm creating a new package called as com.ml.objects. Object is a class in Java which is inherited by all the other class that you use or you create. Okay, so this particular class has got some few methods into it that you should be knowing about. Okay, simple thing. We'll just try to see that. Object demo. Okay. Okay, let's say for example, I am creating, okay, a string. Okay, a string. Let's say I'll start with an integer. Or maybe I have this here. So I can just copy, paste from here. I'll pick this. I'm actually picking up this and we'll see what we are talking about. Okay, these are the three values. Now I wish to iterate. Like I said, I can make use of loop and iterate through each of these things, or maybe I want to do something like this. Let's say I am creating an object. Okay, object is a class present in line package, is an object that I'm creating is equal to new object. Can I do this? Okay, this is going to be quite confusing. Yes, and within this object, I am trying to add ID, comma, name, comma, Saturday. right? This is array of objects. One of the concept that I'm trying to explain you, that you can have array of anything. Likewise, you can array of object, which has got object, three different types of objects. Now, if I want to iterate it, I can do it in this way. Okay, you will encounter this type of code at some or the other instance. So I'm just um, showing it to you, nothing else, because I'm out of time. So there's no point of me starting with a new concept here, except for this one. Okay, so let's say I'm going to iterate here with and I am getting some value. Simple, like what we did. Because collection was collection of objects, so I was able to create an array of object and work with it. Object is going to be parent for everything that I want. So now what happens if I have an object? I can perform some tasks onto it. Like, let's say, for example, I'm simply creating an object. I can say object, spelling object, and let's say object 2 is equal to new object, and I created of a particular type. We never do this, okay? I'm just showing you some details in it. We don't do this, okay? So maybe if I want to create an object, something like this, okay, it's not allowed. So why is object used? Object has got few methods into it, okay, which are very important, which are very good for us. Let's say, for example, one of the methods that I can have with me is toString method, to array plus f. Okay, let's say I'm creating object of this class. Object of demo is equal new object, and let's try to say demo dot. Can you see the methods? There is a method called as clone, finalize, then there's get class, hash code, notify. All these methods that you see are from object class. You can see object, 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 object. So each and every class that you're dealing with is going to have this method into it. All the methods that are present in object class. So what I just showed is the major things that you can do with the object class. Otherwise, you can go for the cloning. So one of the interview questions of how to perform cloning, how to perform object cloning. So there are two ways. There's shallow cloning and deep cloning. You can just research about it and come prepared for the next time. Okay, so we can discuss about the same. So there's 1 2 equals. This is basically to compare. So to compare the two objects which you have, it was going to return you Boolean value. Then there's finalize. Finalize used to explicitly deallocate the memory which has been given to a particular object. Get class is going to get you the class details. Okay, like a runtime class of a particular object. If I want to get that, I can get that too, because class is also a class present in Java. Then there's hash code. You know the hash code. It is going to make use of hash function to generate this particular code. Okay, so there is a contract which you need to know, but this is an important thing. The general contact of hash code is this. Okay, you can always understand this. Okay, it is an interview question. So I'm just going to copy and paste. Okay, I cannot do that. You can just search for the contract between hash code and equals method. Likewise, notify. There is something called as notify, and there is notify all string, toString method to convert a particular type to string. Okay, I can do that too. Okay, we can see that maybe we'll see in later examples how to convert a particular type. Then we have got wait again. So notify, all, wait, and all the different types of methods of wait are used inside your threads. Okay, so these are the concepts which you have, which you can understand or which you can learn from your system. You get this? Any doubt with this, people? So things that you are going to learn for object is to override concepts which you can understand. Okay, is overriding toString. We have seen the overriding of toString method. Let me just show it to you where it goes. In encapsulation, do you guys remember? There was this toString method that it was overridden. If you check, two-string method was overridden. The two-string method was actually from object class, which was overridden inside my employee class because I directly wanted to print the object. Okay. Similarly, I can override all the other methods which I have. Okay, there are no static methods inside the object class. Okay, the other thing that you can know about is overriding of hash code and equals method. You can also override them. Okay, contract, sorry, contract between equals and hash code. This is again one of the concepts. Then there is one very important concept of cloning. Okay, which also goes along with the concept of copy constructor. Okay, so this is almost everything that you will be preparing for your object. If there is any doubt or if there is anything that you wish to talk about, you can just let me know. And just forgive my spellings. I always make a mistake, so that's okay. Okay. Unless and until you understand my feelings for this particular concept, you will understand what I'm typing out. Okay, so that's it. That's it, what you're going to do. And let me just share this concept, share this particular thing, the project, today's project onto the chat. Once you receive it, you can let me know so that I will only send it to you by then. Okay, construction. Yeah. See, I've sent it. Did you guys receive it? Just you can just try opening it. Can you guys download? Once it is downloaded, just let me know. Done downloading?
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So that's it from my end, people. From next time, I am going to start asking you questions on the topics which has been conducted so far. Don't worry. They're going to be very simple questions, but things which I have taught you here. Okay. It is only for me to confirm. It is only for me to understand that you have actually done something at your home. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So I've sent it to everyone. Just check. If you're from phone, then I don't know what to say. If you're connecting with your phone, so there are chances that you might not get this thing. So if you all are in the same WhatsApp group, you can ask for the other person to share there. Okay. Now can you check, Hadia? Hadia, did you receive it? If you did not, you can ask for the other people. Yes. I know you're using your phone, but did you receive the zip that I'm sending? Because I cannot send it personally. It is not allowing me to do that. Okay, fine. That's it. So we'll meet next week. Okay, so that's it for the week. So make sure, guys, you prepare for whatever we have done for this whole week so that we can understand what is happening in the next week. Okay?
Ma'am.
Bye all. Take care.